I'm Natalie Reid and this is Colin Fox. We're Scottish Socialist Party national co-spokespersons, and this is the first of our weekly updates on what's going on in the SSP, and we're in the middle of a local government election, so we're going to talk about that as well. So this Thursday, every first and third Thursday of the month, we have our Lothians branch meeting, and we have it in Gilmerton Community Centre, which is also our hub for the government election, because this is where we're standing in the east of Scotland, and Colin Fox is our candidate. So today's branch discussion is going to be about how to redistribute wealth in the 21st century. So we thought we'd talk about that today as well. So Colin, how do you redistribute wealth in the 21st century?
Well, the first thing, Natalie, is that the redistribution of wealth is central to the socialist message. It always has been. Edinburgh is the richest city in Scotland. It's actually the second richest in Britain. There's a considerable amount of money here. You know, after the Scottish Socialist Party's executive committee last Saturday, which was near Haymarket train station, and you and I went for a drink, remember, as we do. When I was leaving the pub, because I left earlier than Natalie, I'm a more profound socialist. Anyway, I was struck by Haymarket's got this tech hub. They're building a huge tech hub just next to Haymarket station, must be about 8 or 10 stories high, and it's like very late stuff to say. It reminded me of when I was in Toronto, which is full of skyscrapers, right? Well, Edinburgh's not quite like Toronto, but here's an example of how, for projects that the City Chambers and the powers that be want, there's no limit to the money they're going to spend. We just spent £1 billion in Edinburgh on a new shopping centre, the St James's Quarter. Now you've got God knows how many billions in this high-tech quarter. But we're here in Liberton and Gilmerton, which is one of the poorest parts of Edinburgh. And it strikes you how the great wealth of Edinburgh is not distributed fairly. Working people don't get a fair crack of the whip, and that's essentially our socialist message, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think as well, even in this ward, just across the road from the Gilmerton Community Centre, they've got that Miller Homes and new builds.
Yeah. So
it's homes worth hundreds of thousands of pounds next to much older homes, social housing, council housing. But the likelihood is that those brand new expensive homes are going to be in the same council tax bands as those social housing and people on lower incomes. And that's why we think we should scrap the council tax, much like the SNP pledged to do back in 2011. But yet it remains. We think it should be replaced with an income-based alternative, like the Scottish service tax, which is based on your income, meaning that the rich pay their fair share, and those who can't afford to pay as much don't pay as much. We also predict that would generate more income for our public services as well, because the council tax is regressive, and the SST, the Scottish service tax, is a progressive tax. That's another one.
Yeah, I mean, so your question to me earlier on is how? How are we going to redistribute wealth? And the Scottish Socialist Party's flagship council policy is to redistribute the wealth via making people who can afford to pay more tax, and those people, plainly, so many of them that we see in Gilmerton, the Inch, Gracemount, Highbutts, Birdie House, South Houses, patently can't pay a third of their income. Some pensioners are paying a third of their income in that one bill. So the Scottish service tax proposal seeks to replace the council tax with one that's fairer, redistributes the burden of taxation, if you like, to those who've got the broadest shoulders. And the same can be said about our policy for a £12 an hour living wage. As we sit here in Gilmerton Community Centre, the living wage, the national minimum wage for people over 25 is £8.91. We're in favour of £12 an hour because that's 2/3 of male average earnings. That would redistribute wealth. The same as you said about the council tax. The same can be argued about providing free public transport, which is the centrepiece of our climate change proposal. Give people a better alternative to using their car by letting them travel on the bus, the trains, the underground, the trams in Edinburgh for free. These are all redistributive measures that are not unique to the Scottish Socialist Party, but they're unique to socialists because we are prepared to argue for them. And if I get elected to the City Council in Edinburgh, first of all, I'll be the only socialist on the council. But secondly, we'll commit to delivering these policies, and we'll do so by mobilising the good people in this constituency and across the whole city of Edinburgh to achieve the goals that we set.